Don't call a Brit a pom or a pommy bastard, as Australians sometimes do. I would never call anyone a pommy bastard.
Hey guys, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens.
We're a couple of digital nomads who have been wandering around the world for over 3 years, and we make videos about travel and culture.
If either of those topics interest you, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon so that you can get notified every time we release a new video.
Today we are going to be introducing you to 15 faux pas and mistakes that Americans make when they visit the UK. We got these 15 faux pas from viewers on our last video, this one here, where we looked at the mistakes that Brits make when they come to the US. Now we're flipping the tables, and instead of scolding Brits for mistakes that they make in America, we're going to be scolding Americans for mistakes that they make in the UK. Are you guys ready?
Ready or not, here we come! First up, from Adam West, we have the only Americanism that routinely set my teeth on edge working in a hotel in my teens was having everything being referred to as quaint. I mean, we get it, America's huge, don't poke fun. Also from Dan G, who said, oh my gosh, it's so quaint, it's like being on the set of Harry Potter. Yeah, that does sound kind of annoying. Oh man, I'm annoyed with myself now. Now, I do think that the word quaint has a slightly different meaning in the States, perhaps because from the comments that we've gotten, it sounds as though quaint is a little bit negatively perceived in the UK, whereas in the States, you would only say something is quaint about something that you like.
Yeah, based on the comments we've gotten, it feels like in the UK you interpret quaint to mean vintage, old-fashioned,
like
rustic.
Small.
Yeah, small. But in the States, we use quaint to mean charming.
Stylistically, quaint is a good thing. You want your home to be quaint.
Yeah.
You want to go to a quaint city. You want to go vacation at a quaint place.
I've never heard quaint used in a negative way in the States.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I still understand how it could be perceived as condescending.
Yes, and especially if quaint means something else in the UK than it does in the States. Americans, when you visit England or Scotland or Wales or Northern Ireland, don't be referring to things as quaint.
Question for you. Does quaint have a different definition in the UK than it does in the US? Let us know in the comments.
Don't complain about the taps!
In England, all of the houses have separate faucets. Why are there 2 separate spigots for hot and cold water?
Oh, well, we're sorry about that. We didn't know that that was a faux pas. And if you're an American, don't make our mistake and go around bitching about the taps.
Talking so loud, everyone in the room can hear your whole conversation. Volume. The issue with visiting Americans is volume. Just too loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, Americans are really loud.
This is one that bugs us too when we've been in different countries. Like one time we were in Japan and we were at this really nice restaurant, we were eating, and way in the back we could hear this table just going at it in conversation. They're just talking, and we knew immediately, the Americans are here.
Like they're American.
No, they're being so loud. Why do you think that is, that Americans are so loud?
I think maybe as a culture, we're a little bit more warm-cultured, more extroverted of a culture by nature, which might translate into just being more expressive, more turn up the volume, more loud.
Yeah, that is actually a good point. Immigration. So what separates America from the UK is that the UK, I don't think has had too much immigration in terms of lots of other Europeans and other cultures moving there. Whereas in the US, the majority of Americans are a mix. So we have a lot of that Spanish or Italian culture mixed in, being very expressive, talking with your hands, being loud. But even though it's okay to be loud and flamboyant in America, tone it down. You're visiting a country, you gotta be respectful of the culture that you're entering into. So try to speak with your inside voices when you're visiting the UK. If you're an American, why do you think we talk so loud?
Tell us.
Let us know. One thing I hate Americans saying is, OMG, I love your accent. I have a Southern English accent, and I've heard that phrase so many times. This is a learning opportunity for Americans. Guys, when you're visiting the UK, make sure that you don't comment on people's accents, because that is perceived as rude there. So try to keep those opinions to yourself. If you enjoy someone's accent, just savor it like a fine chocolate, but don't share it with the person.
I think America as a whole just loves accents, and they will comment on other Americans' accents if they're from different regions. So like in the Pacific Northwest where we're from, we all have a pretty mild accent, I think. But if you get someone from the South who has a really strong Southern accent visiting the Pacific Northwest, people will tell that person that they love their accent. Or if you get like someone from Boston, I don't know if they would say I love your accent, but you know.
Wow. If you're from Boston, I apologize for my wife.
Americans as a whole just love different accents. Wherever you go in America, they will comment on your accent. If you're from a different part in America, they'll be like, I love your accent.
Story time. That did happen to us when we were going through an airport in San Francisco. We were at the San Francisco airport and we were in line, in the security line, with a legitimate cowboy. This guy had the best Southern accent you could
I actually
hear.
couldn't understand everything he said.
It was,
it was so strong.
Drawl was so strong.
I was like,
It was a walking, talking country music record. But the other people in line were talking with him about his accent, just saying like, oh my gosh, you have such a great accent. You know, what state, are you from Georgia? So Brits, you're not alone, don't worry. Americans aren't just picking on you. They pick on everyone with a different accent because they really like accents. But then again, Americans, that's no excuse to be rude. Remember, you're going to a new country and you have to respect the local culture. And so if it's rude to compliment someone's accent, don't do it.
And they might not take it as a compliment either. Like you see it as me paying them a compliment, but they see it maybe as you pointing out that they talk differently than you, which is kind of like maybe like you sound weird or you sound different.
Question for you. Do you think it's rude for someone to express that they like another person's accent? Let us know what you think down in the comments.
Thinking British people are all posh. Our actors are all posh, which is why Americans think that. But that's less to do with their skill and more to do with their station in life. Example, why so many UK actors went to Eton? I don't understand the last part of this comment. Is Eton a school?
I will concur with Dan here that Americans do have this misconception that all British people are what you would call posh. I think that's because while you guys in the UK, you consume a lot of American media that has to do with average American life, in the US, most British media comes to us in the form of, you know, BBC dramas, Downton Abbey type stuff, and very
Pride and Prejudice.
Pride and
Everyone
Prejudice.
is Mr. Darcy.
So the image that we're consuming in the States of the UK is one of a very posh, upper class type of lifestyle and way of speaking. And so when Americans go to the UK, we kind of have this image that, you know, everyone talks the way Mr. Darcy talks.
Yeah. I think our realization that not all British people are posh came in the form of the "you got a lighter" guy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
If you haven't heard that story about how we were threatened with a gun in Soho, London, make sure you watch this video. I have an American friend who said, "That's so British," and "that's so funny" a lot when she was here. Very annoying and getting overly excitable about everything. Oh man, no.
No, she sounds like an OMG girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing. Is that a thing?
Yeah,
I call
it's
them
like
OMG girls.
Valley girls.
Yeah, like,
California.
oh my gosh. This
Oh,
is so
stop
cute.
right
okay,
there.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it
Do you want
hurts
to
my
divorce
ears.
me?
In our last faux pas video, we told British people that they shouldn't be using the phrase "that's so American" about things when they come to the States. So Americans, dudes, you gotta cut out with a "that's so British." It's a little bit condescending to be going around and being like, "That's so British. That's so British" about
Or that's
different
so
things.
funny. Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
That's just rude. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because what you deem as like being so cute is someone else's way of living, and I think that's kind of insulting to
Yeah.
be like, your way of living is just
It's kind of like patting you on the head. And
Yes!
being like, "Aww."
how
Yeah.
cute.
That's not a good thing to do, and it makes your country look bad, so stop.
Stop it right now. We'll come over there and
Whack
do
you.
your knees in.
If you want to know what "do your knees in" means, watch this video.
Don't call a Brit a pom or a pommy bastard, as Australians sometimes do. I would never call anyone a pommy bastard. That's terrible. I don't even know what it means.
What is
What is a pommy bastard or
I've
a
never
pom?
heard that expression ever before.
It sounds rude though.
It does sound
I would
rude.
never do that. Americans don't do this.
Americans mispronouncing cities over and over again. The two examples straight off are, wow,
Or
pressure
this and
here.
this.
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these right. So actually, let's do them at the same
I'm
time.
afraid of the
So
comments.
The first one, are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I've heard people pronounce it Edinburgh, but there's no O.
Yeah, Edinburgh. I honestly don't know if it's Edinburgh or Edinburgh. Well, I know one of them is the American way of pronouncing it, and one of it's the actual way. I think 3, 2, 1.
Glasgow.
So that's probably wrong.
That is definitely wrong.
But I've never heard a British person say this before, so I don't know what the proper pronunciation is. You guys will let us know. You never let us down, so.
Yeah, spell it out in the comments. Not in all caps though.
She goes on. If I planned to visit the US and wasn't sure about pronunciation, I'd do some research so I wouldn't A, look like an idiot, and B, I wouldn't offend anyone.
I admire her commitment to do research.
Yeah.
That seems like a very big...
She's a quality tourist.
Yeah. But expecting tourists who have naturally different accents to pronounce city names exactly as you, a local, would is a little bit unrealistic. For example, I would never expect an English speaker from like Japan or Korea or even the UK to pronounce cities in my country exactly correct. I would never be offended if they pronounced it wrongly
Because you know.
yeah, they have a different accent from me. So my ability to pronounce it the correct way is because I have the accent that is native to that region.
Yeah, and a lot of times with the city pronunciations, it's not intuitive. They don't read like plain English. For example, one of the towns we stayed in the UK was a city called Ulster. You can watch a tour of that town here. It was an adorable,
Don't you dare!
I almost said
How
quaint!
dare you!
I'm sorry! I'm sorry!
You did the very thing you swore never to do again! Shame!
See, but I mean it, I'm saying it as a compliment. My intentions
bad.
were pure.
Doesn't matter, you are canceled!
We went to this town called Ulster, and it was just, you know, a great
Lovely.
place. It was a great place. Let's leave it at that. But something about the name of the town is that it's pronounced Ulster. But when we went there, we'd seen it on maps and everything, and we arrived pronouncing it Alcester because it's spelled like this.
And that is an atrocious mispronunciation
Yeah.
of the place.
Yeah, so, but when you look at the spelling, it looks like either Alcester or Ulster. It doesn't look like Ulster.
Or Alcester. I was
Yeah.
like, it could be Alcester.
Fortunately, the people in the town, when we pronounced it Alcester, they were very polite about it and explained, which I think is the right thing to do. You can't expect a foreigner with a different accent, like what you said, to know those pronunciations of a place that they've never been to before. That you also can't tell just by looking at it.
We should give a couple examples.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Yes, okay. To give everyone an example of how it's really difficult to know how to pronounce cities in a place where you don't know the local accent, we're gonna show you the names of some of the cities in our own state of Washington in the United States and see if you guys know how to pronounce these. So I'm gonna throw some up on the screen here real quick. We're gonna let them show for like 3 seconds, and then we'll say the correct pronunciation, and let's see if you got it.
Pause it if you need more time.
First up, we've got
3, 2, 1. This one is pronounced squim.
Squim. Next, 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
This is pronounced Chehalis. How do you pronounce this word, guys? Give it your best shot.
2, 1. This one is pronounced Kalakala.
Kalakala.
It's a lovely sound. It sounds really fun.
Where are you from?
I'm from Kalakala.
Kalakala. And last, how do you pronounce this?
3, 2, 1.
This city is pronounced Swinomish. Swinomish.
Swinomish.
Hope you guys enjoyed that pop quiz. Let us know down in the comments which ones you got right. And do let us know if we pronounced Edinburgh and Glasgow correctly.
Hi both. I love the content from you, especially your upbeat reaction to your own isolation.
Aww.
Aww. regarding American faux pas just mentioned that London is not England. Thanks for entertaining me. Your delivery is perfect. Oh, this person is very kind. We have been told this again and again. London is not England. London is not England. If you are making a visit to the UK as an American, you can go to London, of course, admire all of the museums and lovely things there, but then also go outside of London, explore, go to Scotland, go to Wales, go to Northern Ireland to get a broader picture of the UK.
Just based on our own personal experience, we had very different experiences with Brits in London and then outside of London. Very different kind of people, very different cultures. Get out of the big city and do a little bit of exploring.
For the Brits in the audience, why is London not England? We've heard this comment so many times, and we just want to get a bigger picture of what differentiates it. Like, how is it its own thing? Because so many people have been like, London is its own country. So in what ways is London very different from the rest of the UK?
And if you live in London, how do you feel about the rest of the UK, making sure everyone knows that you guys are not the UK? Drop your comments down below. The worst faux pas by Americans in the UK. There are many, and most are forgivable. However, the absolute worst and unforgivable, quote, "Why don't you do it like we do in the US?"
This is so rude!
Amongst many Americans, there seems to be an assumption that the US is the best country in the world.
Well, that's so rude.
It's a very rude thing to do.
We met Americans like that in Korea, too.
Oh,
Tons of Americans like that in Korea. Like, oh, this is so annoying about Korea. Why don't they just do it the way that makes sense? It's like, well, that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make sense to people who have an entirely different way of thinking than you.
Every culture's different, and you gotta respect that when you're in a different culture, they're gonna do things differently to you, and that is their normal.
It makes sense. It's not crazy.
They're not crazy.
So
There's reasons.
If you are tempted to do this as an American, just don't travel anywhere.
You're not a good representative of your country if you're tramping around the globe and scolding other countries for doing things the way that they do them. A great example of this, and I know it's just a slip of the tongue, but a lot of Americans go to the UK and in videos and vlogs and stuff like that will make comments like, they drive on the wrong side of the road here.
Don't say that!
There's no correct side of the road to drive on. It's whatever that country has deemed.
Getting mixed up between the UK, Britain, and England. They are different things, and getting them confused is sure to offend.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that is one that Americans get wrong a lot.
Yes.
And we ourselves
are no exemption.
When we first went to the UK, I don't even think we had a clear understanding of what the names were.
Yeah, which name belonged to which aspect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do a little bit of research before you arrive and make sure that you understand what England is, what the UK is, what Britain is, and what all those terms mean. If you're an American and you're having trouble figuring out which is which, here's a great diagram that helped us figure out which is which.
It is a little bit confusing though.
It is very confusing, yeah. But we figured it out, and if you're an American, I believe you can figure it out too. Assuming that Brits are still pissed at losing the American, I like how she censored pissed, at losing the American War of Independence. 90% of all Brits have no clue who the Americans fought in the War of Independence, and the remaining 10% are quite pleased that the USA, like all the other countries the UK used to rule, is now free and independent. First up, I would ask you, if you're British, do you agree that a lot of British people don't actually know who the Americans fought in the War of Independence? Is that not something you guys really learn about? Because, you know, of course, as an American, that's like the cornerstone of our history.
Yes, I mean, it's kind of when we began as our own separate place.
So, if it's different for you guys, drop it down below. What do you guys call the War of Independence too? Because I guess you wouldn't call it the War of Independence.
The War of the Rebellious Children. The one that got away.
The one that got away. Yeah. It does have really great meme potential. There are a lot of jokes about how Brits are still sore about losing the war. So I get where this comment is coming from, because I do know a lot of Americans make that joke. So I am sorry for that, Brits. We really should move on. Why don't we make a deal? We'll negotiate with Americans to get them to stop making jokes about you guys being pissed about losing the war, and you guys negotiate with your country and get people to stop making fun of American English. Shake on it?
Pinky promise?
I have a feeling they're not going to agree to that one because they really like making fun of American English.
Talking to strangers on public transport. Don't do it ever. The only people who do are escapees from the local mental hospital. If you talk to a stranger on public transport, you will be deemed insane.
I've got a story for this one. So when we were in the UK, I rode a train down from the Midlands into London. And as we were coming into London, the conductor got onto the intercom and he's like, all right, welcome to London. If this is your first time to London and you want to play a prank on the locals, just say hello to someone next to you on the underground. That's when I found out that you're not supposed to talk to people on the public transit.
Did you do it though?
No.
No, you didn't.
I never do.
Wow.
Well, we went to the UK from Korea. We lived in South Korea for 2 years, and it's a similar situation where you're not really supposed to talk to people on the public transit.
Yeah, the only people who do are the old people.
Yeah.
Because they can do anything.
Yeah, the old people in Asia get away with whatever the hell they want.
Even hitting people. Wow.
If you want to hear the story about the time Grace got beat by an old Korean lady, watch this video. Telling us our coffee sucks. We know, but at least we can make a good cup of tea. Oh no.
You are guilty!
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, I did make a comment in a previous video about the coffee in the UK sucking.
In his defense, though, he is a coffee addict and a coffee snob.
I'm a huge coffee snob. Check this out. I have my special little AeroPress that I make coffee in every morning. I put the beans in, I stir it, I brew the water. So,
yeah.
I need good coffee.
We travel with this, and if you guys know us, we each have a rucksack. So that's made its way into our rucksack because of how important coffee is to this man.
I'm sorry. I will say certain places in America have terrible coffee too. The South, guys, leave the Folgers alone. And then on the East Coast, you guys really need to stop going to Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's. Like, those places do not have good coffee. And even on the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, quit with the Starbucks, man. That coffee's garbage. All right, there. I've just insulted every...
Carpet bombing!
Yeah. Oh, and the French. Oh my gosh. If you want to have really bad coffee, though, come to France. UK does have bad coffee, too.
Just everywhere has bad coffee, I guess.
Yeah, if you want to get good coffee, you have to go to a third wave coffee place. That's what it, third wave. Google, don't just search cafe or coffee shop. You have to Google third wave coffee. That's where the good coffee is.
You've had good coffee everywhere, though.
Yes, yeah, when we do that, so we've been able to find good places in London, in Paris, and all over the world with good coffee, but you have to look for it. It's a quest.
You have to search. Next up we have very impatient if service isn't immediate.
Why do you think that is?
It all has to do with the whole customer service culture in the States. When you sit down at a place or whatnot, you expect to be greeted right away, to be brought drinks right away, to be taken care of immediately. And that's just not the way it happens in the UK, which personally I prefer.
Me too.
I don't want to think about having to like decide right off the bat. I always feel really pressured.
As we mentioned in other videos, we did work in the service industry for a while. I was a waiter for 6 years at a restaurant, and during training, they did tell us you have to greet a table within the first 60 seconds of them sitting down. If you don't do that, you fail. If you're a waiter in America and you allow a group of people to sit down and you don't greet them within the first 30 seconds to a minute, your tip will be worse because of it. And they might complain to a manager. But we have been sitting here for minutes. It's been like 3 minutes. We've been sitting here and we haven't got our drinks yet.
When we went to the UK for the first time, we would go into an establishment and sit down, and since we were used to being greeted, you know, right away, when that didn't happen, I was like, are we supposed to go up to the counter and order?
That's right.
Remember? That happened to me several times. I would be wondering and being filled with anxiety. But yes, you always just wait, and it's a few minutes, and that's better.
Yeah, it is better. It's much more relaxed. And now we're gonna turn the conversation over to you. Are there any faux pas that we missed? What things do you hate about American behavior in the UK? Drop those comments down below. We are here to learn, and we don't want to make any faux pas the next time we're back in the UK. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Grace. We're the Wandering Ravens. And if you guys want to help us grow our channel, make sure that you subscribe down below. We have a personal goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers by the time this quarantine/confinement period is up. So help us meet that by subscribing.
And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Hitting the like button helps the YouTube algorithm promote our video and show it to more people. So if you like our content and you want to see this channel grow, smash the like button. And if you want to take on a more active role in this channel, make sure you go down to the description and join our Patreon. If you do, then you can help us choose what topics we cover in future videos, as well as get access to behind the scenes footage, videos, culture tidbits, all that sort of stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Bisous!